Okay, we have 3 more examples to go through. So example number 2. Remember, my first step is to pick a variable to eliminate. So I'm going to look at each term and figure out which one's going to be easier. So the first one, I have 5x and 2x. Nothing really too crazy we can do there. My second one, I have negative 3y and 5y. Well, keep in mind, our goal is to have one positive and one negative. Well, that might be a good start. Might be better than the 5x and the 2x. Okay, so my goal is to get my y's to cancel out. Okay, I want my y to cancel, so now I got to get my y terms to be exactly the same. So the easiest way of doing that is just multiplying the equation by what it doesn't have. So in the second equation, my y coefficient is 5, so I'm going to multiply my first one by 5. My second equation needs to be multiplied by 3 because that's the coefficient in the first equation. That is a really crappy 3. Let's try again. 3, that's a little better. Alright, so now I'm going to rewrite both of those equations, and I'm just going to distribute it through. So 5 times 5x gives me a 25x. 5 times 3y gives me a negative 15y. And then that equals 30. So I've got that one. Now let's do my second equation. So I'm going to distribute that 3 through. So I've got 6x plus 15y equals negative 30. Alright, so this is what I have, and now I can see that, hey, my y terms are opposites of each other, and those are easily going to cancel out. So I can add down for my other ones. So 25 plus 6 gives me 31x equals 30 minus 30. Oh, that's going to give me 0. So awesome, in this case, x equals 0. Just because x equals 0 doesn't mean we can stop. We have to plug it back in to either one of those equations to solve for y. So what's nice about the elimination method is, again, it doesn't matter which equation you pick. You could pick the originals, you can pick the manipulated ones. It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to pick the first original equation. So I have 5 times 0 minus 3y equals 6. Well, 5 times 0 gets me 0. Minus 3y equals 6. So negative 3y equals 6. Divide both sides by negative 3. Y equals negative 2. So my answer in this equation is 0, negative 2. My second example, or my third, I should say, example number 3. Let's try and figure out what to cancel out. So if you look, my x's, I've got 3x, I've got 4x, nothing too crazy we can do there. My y's, I have 2y and 3y. Again, nothing I can really do there. So it doesn't matter which one you pick. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to cancel out x. So x to cancel. So what I need to do is get them to be the same number but opposite. So again, I'm going to multiply this first one by 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and make that a negative 4, so I know that those two numbers are going to be opposite. And that second one by 3. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute that through to create my two new equations. So negative 4 times 3x gives me a negative 12x. And then I've got negative 4 times 2y, that gives me a negative 8y. And then negative 4 times 1 gives me a negative 4. So there's my first equation. Now let's go ahead and do the second equation. So 3 times 4x gives me a 12x. 3 times 3y gives me a positive 9y. And 3 times negative 2 gives me a negative 6. Okay, so now I have this. I can add down. I can see that my x's are easily going to cancel out. Now I've got negative 8y plus 9. That gives me y left over. Negative 4 minus 6 gives me a negative 10. And there's nothing to solve there because there's no coefficient in front of y. But keep in mind, I'm not stopping here. I need to go back and find what my x value is. So it doesn't matter which equation you plug it into. Just pick one and plug it in. So again, I'm going to do my first equation. So I've got 3x plus 2 times negative 10 equals 1. So I'm going to plug that in. I've got 3x minus 20 equals 1. Add 20 on both sides. I've got 3x equals 21. Divide by 3. X equals 7. So in this answer, I'm going to have 7, negative 10 as my answer. My last example is number 4. So I'm going to look at each variable to figure out which one I want to cancel out. So for my x terms, I have 2x and an x. My y's, I have a 6y and a 3y. Well, there's nothing too, up front with that one. There's still no opposites with the negative. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel out x, because why not? So x to cancel. So in order to do that, I need to multiply the second equation by a -2. Okay, so I know the first one's a positive 2x. I want to make my second one a negative 2x. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite my first equation. I've got 2x plus 6y equals 18. So my second equation I'm going to distribute. So I got negative 2x, then minus 6y, and then lastly equals negative 18. Okay, so I can easily see that my x's are going to cancel out, so I can add down on my other terms. But why we picked this problem is that my y's also cancel out. So 6 minus 6 cancel out. We're left with 0 on this side. On the other side, we've got 18 minus 18. Again, that cancels out, and we have 0. When you have 0 equals 0, that means you have all real solutions. Okay, and remember, when we have that, that means those lines are exactly the same. Okay, that's back to graphing. But what if we had a problem, and this is a different one, what if we had a problem where you end up where the x's cancel out, the y's cancel out, and you're left with 0 equals some number. So in this case, our 18's canceled out. But what if you had like a 19 minus 18 and we got 0 equals 1? Well, in that case, that's not true. So because that's not true, there would be no solution. Okay, so please be prepared to see the difference on that and be, open to it. If it's equal, all real solutions. If those two numbers are not equal, no solution. Okay, if you guys have any questions on that, please let us know. It can be quite a tricky concept, but I will see you later.